Question 301. What is the process called when a system automatically switches to a backup system in case the primary system fails? A. Fail-safe. B. Redundancy. C. Hot site. D. Failover. Correct answer. D. Failover. Failover refers to the process where a system automatically switches to a backup or standby system when the primary system fails. This ensures continuous operation and minimizes downtime. Failover is typically used in high-availability systems, such as databases and networks, to maintain service without interruption. Question 302. Ethan is facing issues with unauthorized access to his wireless network, despite changing the SSID and enabling MACID filtering. Which of the following actions could significantly reduce the chances of unauthorized access to his network? A. Install sniffers around the wireless network. B. Keep the access point in a metallic shield. C. Increase the time interval between SSID beacons. D. Decrease the time interval between SSID beacons. Correct answer. B. Keep the access point in a metallic shield. Placing the wireless access point in a metallic shield, also known as a Faraday cage, can help contain the wireless signal within a controlled physical area, reducing the chances of unauthorized users accessing the network from outside the intended coverage zone. This method is particularly effective for mitigating signal leakage beyond the premises. Question 303. The term anonymized data refers to data that has been made anonymous in a way that the original subject can no longer be identified. Pseudo-anonymization, or pseudonymization, replaces personal data with artificial identifiers that can potentially be restored using additional reference information. A. True. B. False. Correct answer. A. True. The main distinction between anonymization and pseudo-anonymization is that anonymized data cannot be traced back to the original individual, providing full privacy. On the other hand, pseudo-anonymized data can be re-identified with the help of additional reference information, making it possible to restore the original data if necessary. Both methods aim to improve privacy, but they offer varying degrees of protection. Question 304. James has uncovered that his organization's financial accounting software is improperly configured, resulting in the reporting of inaccurate data on a continuous basis. What category of risk does this fall under? A. Control risk. B. Inherent risk. C. Residual risk. D. Transparent risk. Correct answer. B. Inherent risk. Inherent risk refers to the risk that exists in an organization's processes, systems, or operations, even in the absence of controls. It represents the susceptibility to errors, inaccuracies, or vulnerabilities that are inherent to the nature of the activities being performed. In this case, the improper configuration of the financial accounting software leads to the reporting of inaccurate data on an ongoing basis. This issue is a result of inherent risk because it is a fundamental flaw in the system itself, independent of any control measures that may or may not be in place. Question 305. As an IT manager, one of your employees inquires about who is responsible for assigning data labels. Which of the following entities is responsible for the task? A. Custodian. B. Owner. C. Privacy officer. D. System administrator. Correct answer. B. Owner. Data owners are responsible for assigning labels, such as top secret, to data. Custodians are responsible for assigning security controls to data. Privacy officers ensure that companies comply with privacy laws and regulations. System administrators are responsible for maintaining the overall functionality of IT systems. Question 306. As part of his system security process, William has been required to take the CIS benchmark for Windows 10. Which of the following information will he be using? A. A set of recommended security configurations to secure Windows 10. B. Information on how secure Windows 10 is in its default state. C. Vulnerability scan data for Windows 10 systems provided by various manufacturers. D. Performance benchmark tools for Windows 10 systems, including network speed and firewall throughput. Correct answer. A. A set of recommended security configurations to secure Windows 10. The Center for Internet Security Benchmarks offers suggestions for securing an operating system, application, or other relevant technology. Aaron can access security configuration guidelines and techniques specific to Windows 10 through this source. Question 307. Which one cannot reduce security breaches committed by internal staff? A. Job rotation. B. Mandatory vacations. C. Non-disclosure agreements signed by employees. D. Separation of duties. Correct answer. C. Non-disclosure agreements signed by employees. Non-disclosure agreements are typically focused on preventing employees from disclosing confidential information about the organization to external parties. While they play a role in protecting sensitive information, they are not specifically designed to reduce security breaches committed by internal staff. Measures such as job rotation, mandatory vacations, and separation of duties are more directly aimed at internal security controls. Question 308. As a security administrator in your company, you have identified a security threat that you lack the necessary in-house expertise to address. You opt to enlist the services of external resources through a contract. The contractor will be accountable for managing and handling this security risk. Which of the following risk response strategies are you using? A. Accept. B. Avoid. C. Mitigate. D. Transfer. Correct answer. D. Transfer. Risk transfer involves transferring the responsibility of recovery and restoration to hosted providers or obtaining insurance to cover the costs associated with a risk. Risk acceptance entails identifying and acknowledging a risk that is either improbable or has limited impact, thereby rendering corrective measures unnecessary. Risk mitigation involves implementing controls to lessen vulnerabilities or weaknesses in a system, which can also reduce the impact of a threat. Risk avoidance refers to eliminating the vulnerability that can heighten a particular risk, thus avoiding it entirely. Question 309. As a network administrator, you have been assigned the task of generating user accounts for new employees who have been recruited by the company. These employees are registered in the Identity and Access Management System and given mobile devices. What procedure are you carrying out? A. Executive user. B. Offboarding. C. Onboarding. D. System owner. Correct answer. C. Onboarding. Onboarding refers to the process of incorporating an employee into a company's identity and access management system, while offboarding is the process of removing an employee from the company's identity and access management system. A system owner is responsible for managing one or more systems, which may include updating and patching operating systems. The term executive user has been created specifically for this question. Question 310. What term describes a trusted third-party solution that serves as a backup storage for cryptographic keys? A. Key escrow. B. TPM. C. Recovery agent. D. CA. Correct answer. A. Key escrow. Key escrow refers to a trusted third-party solution where cryptographic keys are stored in case they need to be recovered or accessed by authorized parties in the future. This is often used for backup purposes, ensuring that encrypted data can be decrypted if the original key is lost or inaccessible. Question 311. Which of the following factors would enhance cryptographic security? A. High data entropy. B. Algorithms that require less computational power. C. Longer key longevity. D. Hashing. Correct answer. A. High data entropy. High data entropy refers to the level of randomness in the data, which enhances cryptographic security. The more random the data, or key, the harder it is for attackers to predict or brute force, increasing the overall security of the cryptographic system. Question 312. Which method can a monitoring tool use to compare values and identify password leaks without exposing the actual credentials? A. Hashing. B. Tokenization. C. Masking. D. Encryption. Correct answer. A. Hashing. Hashing is a method used by monitoring tools to compare values and identify password leaks without exposing the actual credentials. It converts passwords into fixed-length strings hash values, and these hashes are compared against stored hashes to detect leaks. Question 313. What is the standard port number used by Kerberos? A. 21. B. 88. C. 161. D. 443. Correct answer. B. 88. Kerberos uses port 88 for both its client-server and server-server communications. It is a network authentication protocol that helps secure communication over an untrusted network, such as the Internet. Question 314. Which of the following terms refers to the process of enhancing security? A. Patching. B. Compression. C. Encryption. D. Hardening. Correct answer. D. Hardening. Hardening refers to the process of enhancing security by reducing vulnerabilities in a system, application, or network. This can involve practices such as disabling unnecessary services, applying patches, configuring proper security settings, and implementing strong authentication methods to make the system more resistant to attacks. Question 315. Which of the following is not an appropriate response procedure for an incident? A. Analyzing network traffic and logs. B. Tracking labor hours and expenses. C. Capturing a system image. D. Gathering data from unaffected machines. Correct answer. B. Tracking labor hours and expenses. While analyzing network traffic and logs, capturing a system image, and gathering data from unaffected machines are critical steps in responding to an incident to assess its scope and preserve evidence for investigation. Tracking labor hours and expenses is not directly related to responding to the incident itself. It may be part of post-incident documentation or administrative tasks, but does not contribute to resolving or investigating the incident effectively. Question 316. Which privacy-enhancing technique replaces actual data with a placeholder that contains a reference to the original data, but on its own doesn't provide any useful information that could be exploited by an attacker? A. Pseudo-anonymization. B. Tokenization. C. Data masking. D. Anonymization. Correct answer. B. Tokenization. Tokenization is a privacy-enhancing technique that replaces sensitive data with unique placeholders, called tokens. These tokens serve as references to the original data, but do not contain any intrinsic value or information that can be exploited by an attacker. Question 317. Daniel wants to verify the validity of a digital certificate. What should he use for this? A. Trust model. B. Certificate policy. C. Key escrow. D. Certificate revocation list. Correct answer. D. Certificate revocation list. Certificate revocation list is a list maintained by a certificate authority that contains certificates that have been revoked before their scheduled expiration dates. This is important for verifying the validity of a digital certificate, as it helps determine whether a certificate has been compromised or is no longer trustworthy. Question 318. Rachel is worried that some people in her company have more privileges than they need. This issue arose as people moved between positions and accumulated rights beyond what's required for their current roles. Which of the following would be the most effective way to address this? A. Job rotation. B. Permission auditing. C. Preventing job rotation. D. Separation of duties. Correct answer. B. Permission auditing. Permission auditing is the process of reviewing and assessing access rights and privileges assigned to individuals within an organization. It ensures that employees have only the permissions necessary for their current roles. In Rachel's case, where employees may have accumulated excessive rights over time, permission auditing allows her to identify and remove any unnecessary privileges, ensuring proper access control. Question 319. From a security perspective, what is the first thing you should do after installing a new wireless router on your network? A. Access the internet connection. B. Change the default password to a stronger one. C. Check the signal strength. D. Check for any interference. Correct answer. B. Change the default password to a stronger one. Changing the default password to a stronger one is a crucial security measure that helps protect the router from unauthorized access by replacing the commonly known factory-set credentials with a unique complex password. This prevents attackers from easily accessing the router's settings, reducing the risk of network breaches and unauthorized modifications. Question 320. What is the term for an authentication system that allows a user to access multiple interconnected system components, such as different hosts on a network, with a single login to just one of the components? A. NAC. B. SSO. C. AAA. D. MFA. Correct answer. B. SSO. Single sign-on is an authentication system that allows users to access multiple interconnected systems or applications with a single login, eliminating the need to enter credentials multiple times. It enhances user convenience by reducing password fatigue while improving security by centralizing authentication management. Question 321. What is the process of searching for, collecting, and securing electronic data for use in a legal case or investigation called A. OSINT, B. E-discovery, C. White hat hacking, D. Active reconnaissance. Correct answer, B. E-discovery. E-discovery, electronic discovery, is the process of searching for, collecting, and securing electronic data for use in legal cases or investigations. It involves identifying relevant digital evidence from emails, documents, databases, and other electronic sources while ensuring its integrity and admissibility in court. Question 322. What is considered the first line of defense in network security and is also known as a locked-down system? A. Firewall architecture, B. Dual-homed firewall, C. Bastion host, D. Screened host. Correct answer, C. Bastion host. Bastion host is a highly secured system that serves as the first line of defense in network security by being exposed to untrusted networks, such as the Internet. It is a locked-down system, meaning it is hardened with strict security controls, minimal services, and continuous monitoring to reduce vulnerabilities. Question 323. What is the standard used for credit card security? A. CIS, B. COPPA, C. GDPR, D. PCI DSS. Correct answer, D. PCI DSS. The PCI-DSS, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, is a security standard that is compulsory for credit card vendors. The Payment Card Industry Security Standards Council is responsible for maintaining and revising the standard. GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, is a standard for data privacy and security in the European Union. CoPPA, Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, is a U.S. federal law focused on children's online privacy protection. The Center for Internet Security is not a law or regulation, but an organization that provides guidelines and best practices for Internet security. Question 324. Your security manager needs to determine which risks to minimize based on cost. This is an example of A. Business impact analysis, B. Qualitative risk assessment, C. Quantitative risk assessment, D. Threat assessment. Correct answer, C. Quantitative risk assessment. Quantitative risk assessment involves assigning numerical values to the likelihood of an event occurring and the impact it would have. On the other hand, qualitative risk assessment involves prioritizing risks based on their potential danger, such as low, medium, and high. A business impact analysis is conducted to assess the potential impact on a business should a critical system operation be interrupted due to an accident, emergency, or disaster. Threat assessment is the process of identifying and categorizing various threats, including environmental and human-made risks, and attempting to determine their potential impact. Question 325. Which is the most suitable to describe the downside of quantitative risk analysis compared to qualitative risk analysis? A. Qualitative risk assessment is often subjective. B. Quantitative risk analysis requires detailed financial data. C. Quantitative risk analysis requires expertise on systems and infrastructure. D. Quantitative risk provides clear answers to risk-based questions. Correct answer, B. Quantitative risk analysis requires detailed financial data. Quantitative risk analysis demands intricate computations and is more laborious since it necessitates comprehensive financial data and calculations, which is a disadvantage of this analysis. Conversely, qualitative risk assessment is frequently subjective and requires expertise in systems and infrastructure. Nevertheless, both types of assessments can provide precise responses to queries pertaining to risk. Question 326. Categorizing residual risk categories is the most essential for which of the subsequent techniques employed in response to risk? A. Risk acceptance. B. Risk avoidance. C. Risk mitigation. D. Risk transfer. Correct answer. A. Risk acceptance. Out of the given options, only acceptance indicates that there will be some amount of residual risk remaining. By accepting a risk, one acknowledges that the risk exists and chooses not to take any action to prevent it. As the risk is deemed manageable and not too harmful, this implies that residual risk is present. Risk mitigation involves implementing measures to reduce vulnerabilities or weaknesses in a system, which can also lessen the impact of a threat. Risk avoidance entails eliminating the vulnerability that could increase a particular risk, thus avoiding it altogether. Risk transfer involves shifting the responsibility of the risk to other entities such as insurance providers or hosting companies who assume the responsibility for recovery and restoration, or acquiring insurance to cover the costs associated with a risk. Question 327. As the IT security officer of your company, your task is to set up data labeling choices for the research and development file server. The available labels for ordinary users are contractor, public, and internal. Determine which label is appropriate for assigning to company trade secrets. A. High. B. Low. C. Proprietary. D. Top secret. Correct answer. C. Proprietary. Confidential information in the form of proprietary data can significantly impact a company's competitive advantage if it is exposed. The label High is a general classification for internal data that indicates the level of risk from external sources. In government systems, the label Top Secret is frequently used to determine data access based on specified categories. On the other hand, the label Low is a generic classification for internal data that reflects the level of potential risk from external sources. Question 328. Your company's security policy comprises guidelines for system testing and security awareness training. Which category of security controls does this fall under? A. Detective administrative control. B. Detective technical control. C. Preventive administrative control. D. Preventive technical control. Correct answer. C. Preventive administrative control. Testing and training are examples of preventive administrative controls, which specify how security policies should be implemented to achieve the company's security objectives. A detective technical control employs technology to reveal a violation, while preventive technical control attempts to prevent a violation via technology. Detective administrative controls employ policies, procedures, and guidelines to uncover a violation. Question 329. What does a device using a metal oxide varistore protect against? A. Electromagnetic interference. B. Line disturbance. C. Power surges. D. Brownouts. Correct answer. C. Power surges. Metal oxide. Varistor is a protective component used in surge protectors to absorb and dissipate excess voltage from power surges, preventing damage to electronic devices. It works by changing its resistance in response to voltage spikes, diverting excess current away from sensitive components. Question 330. As a security specialist for a company, your manager wants to ensure that messages are protected from interception. Which technology should you use to prevent eavesdropping on messages? A. Digital signature. B. Encryption. C. Non-repudiation. D. Hashing. Correct answer. B. Encryption. Encryption is the process of converting plaintext messages into ciphertext using cryptographic algorithms, making the messages unreadable to unauthorized parties. This ensures confidentiality and protects messages from being intercepted and eavesdropped on during transmission. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful for you, don't forget to like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more practice questions and tips.